Hello, I'm Luke, and the guy silently eating a Pop-Tart is Dan, and
Shout out to Pop Tarts.
I said silently.
Sorry.
Anyway, this is a Dwarf Fortress tutorial. There will be inscriptions. I can't even words. Descriptions in the description of how to install and get to the exact point I'm looking at. This is what you should be seeing. And you should in general be seeing the same thing as me along the way. There will be a save there that you can put in that will get you to the same place with the same people and the same stuff. Okay, first, navigating the menu. Up and down arrows. Pretty simple. Enter, continue playing, and then you'll be able to pick the region, which is tutorial currently. Just press enter again. And we should be going somewhere, but my computer's not very good. Okay, we're somewhere. Right, first thing before we start doing anything, you can press V, and that allows you to navigate with this little cross with the arrow keys, or the number pad arrow keys, and you can look at your dwarves individually. It'll tell you their jobs, well, their skills first. This guy's a proficient grower, you see that? And this guy is a soldier. He can use hammers, he can dodge. Guy's a mason. And for the second, that's pretty much all you need to know about your dwarves. I'll tell you more soon. Well, apart from the fact that you have this guy who is a miner, and if you press I you can see his inventory, and he has seemingly not got a pick. That's definitely promising. Okay, the pick's in the caravan, so, well, the wagon, sorry, so he'll get that out in a second. That won't be a problem. So, because I can't really think of anything else that needs to be immediately explained, can I jump right in? You can press D to get to designations, and then J for downward stairway. You can see all of the keybinds are listed along the right. And then you can move the yellow cross to where you want to put a downward stairway. I'll just put it next to the wagon somewhere for now. And then you can... what can you do? You can use the angle brackets, I guess they're called, to go up and down vertical levels. Dan, are you with me so far? Have I forgotten anything essential?
Seems alright. I know the Pop Tart.
Okay, that's good. Right, so go down a level and keep your yellow arrow on the exact same spot as you put the downward stairways. Go down a level and mark the same area as an upward stairway. I'm doing a 2x2 square of them, but that's not really necessary at all. Just demonstrating. Oh, and since I didn't mention, it's enter and then enter to start and end designating a location. So anyway, once you've got the staircases in place, just designated, you're telling the miner that this is what you want dug, dig this, although we're currently paused, so he's not doing anything. So then go down to the level with the upward staircase on, if you haven't already, and do D for dig, which is mining, and designate just a corridor for now. And then I'm going to unpause so we can watch this actually work, and so that people can confirm that they're on the same page as me. You can see, hopefully anyway, that he's digging. These are now just actual staircases. You can press K to look at things, should have mentioned that. K, and then instead of looking at dwarf's attributes, it looks at the floor, any items, stairway. And unpausing again so we can just finish watching this guy dig. And he's done digging, so now he's going to go back to being idle. You can press V and then G for general to see that he has no job. Okay, next we're going to go back to the surface. We're going to do D for designate again, this time T for trees. And here you can either designate with your mouse, just click on individual trees, or you can designate a wide area, which is what I'm demonstrating now. Also, oh god, my FPS. And once a tree is marked, the woodcutter, who, assuming again that you followed the install instructions I gave, is this guy who looks like he has an axe. Wait, no, I'm lying, he's a carpenter. I have no idea who it is. Oh, it's this guy. The expedition leader. There was a thing I was going to do. Oh yeah, that was stall for time until my FPS became acceptable. But, okay, for now I'm just going to unpause and we can watch this guy go cut down a tree, hopefully. Hopefully he's going to do that thing.
How come it's only cutting down certain types of trees?
Some of them may look like trees, but they're actually not. That's basically it.
What, they're bushes, saplings?
Yeah,
Or...
bushes, saplings, anything that's not a tree. Okay, I'm looking.
How many trees am I going to need?
For now it doesn't really matter, just cut down 15 or so. Right now I'm looking through the wagon by pressing T, and then targeting the wagon with the little yellow cross, because I'm seeing if we even have a woodcutter's axe. I'm quite concerned that it appears we don't. No, we don't, unless somebody else has co-opted it, which is completely possible. Well,
they do that? Dibs?
Assuming I've done something wrong, it may be the case. Okay, this is a tiny setback, but it'll give us a good opportunity to get into something else. Alright, first I'm going to explain labours. Basically, labours are what your dwarves will do. So, you press V, you go look at a dwarf, we're going to look at the miner, then press P for preferences, and L for labour. And then using the plus and minus keys on your number pad, good luck if you don't have a number pad, you can navigate this menu. Now at the moment he's set to do mining. Healthcare is in a light grey, which means he's set to do some healthcare tasks, but not all. And hauling, he's set to do all. Other jobs, some but not all. But now we're going to tell him not to haul, because he's got more important things to be doing.
How does one navigate with this number?
Plus and minus on the number pad. That'll go up and down the menu.
Okay, so is this an order of priority that I'm seeing right now?
No, it's no order of priority, it's just these are the things he'll do or not do. But, yep, we go down to hauling, press enter, and that allows us to individually pick off certain hauling things. I've just turned off 6 of them to demonstrate, and then press escape to go back. And hauling is now light grey, like some things are still being hauled but others aren't, and we're going to use shift enter to toggle it on entirely and then off entirely, because we don't want him hauling at all. Mining is important. Obviously this is generally optional, but you know, proving a point. You can turn off labours, and he's going to be doing a lot of mining soon. So we don't have a woodcutter's axe to cut wood. We need to get on that. So we're going to go down to the lower level again, press D for designate, D for mine, although mining is the default, so it's not a problem there. And we're going to make a 3x3 room off to one side of the corridor, along with a doorway to get into it. And then going to unpause. Miner's running down here to build it, well, dig it. Now that he's done that, we're going to press B for build.
How do I undesignate something?
D and then X. D for designate, X for I'm extremely stupid and need to undo my mistakes. I don't think that's a very good one, but you know. Well, anyway, we're going to build a workshop now. B to build, W for workshop, and then M for mason's workshop. Although we don't actually want a mason's workshop, so then I'm going to press escape, and then C for carpenter's workshop. Then, if you look here, if you place it somewhere where it can't be placed, it'll come up entirely red. Partially placed will be red and purple, purple being the viable spots. Fully placeable is green. Dark green means that that tile will become impassable because part of the workshop will be there. Light green means it's going to be still walkable. So this is fine to have the door here, there's still access to it. Press enter, and then it'll come up with a list of materials. In this case all we have is pine logs, because I brought some logs. Press enter to choose that we're going to use pine logs to build it. And then,
is there a way to decipher whether I've done something wrong or my miner is just having a little slack?
if you've designated something and your miner has a pickaxe and isn't mining, then that means that the designation is probably not accessible. Like, there's a wall in the way that he just can't get through.
It's the
because you
first
designated it.
wall at the bottom of the stairs.
I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Right, now that we've placed the carpenter's workshop, we need to go wait for our carpenter, which is teleporting because of my low FPS, but it's this yellow guy, and he just
Is
ran
he
in
now
there and
building
built.
that? And he's
Yes.
built it? Oh,
He
there is
should've
actually
built
a building process.
Right. Now you can press Q to get up the building viewer. It's kind of like V to view dwarves, and K to just look at things, but it's Q, it lets you look at buildings. And, you know, you should have add new task, cancel current task. X is to remove the building, escape is to entirely stop being in the Q view. We're going to press A for add new task. Then we're going to use plus and minus again to go up and down this list of items we can make. We're going to make a training axe. Because cutting down trees with a wooden axe is perfectly reasonable. And then you press enter to select it, it's now there. And escape to get out, and we're going to unpause and wait for the carpenter to come back with a piece of wood to build a training axe. If you press Q and look at it while he's in the middle, it says A. The A is just, that's the active task. And we can also press V to look at him, and it'll say he's making a wooden training axe.
Okay, he made it, and then a man come and took it, and he said it was nice.
Yeah. I'm
Is
just waiting
that
for him to be done making
a
it.
place he's going to take?
Well, the
Like
guy
that too,
who's
or?
just taken it will be the woodcutter, who's just collecting an axe which he'll use to cut wood. And now he's going to run off to a tree.
Is it normal that he looks like a wizard?
He looks like a wizard because he's the expedition leader. Because on Embark I set him up to be a bit of a leadery type. I'm not going to bother justifying my choices for Embark, incidentally, because I am not very good at deciding that sort of stuff, and I just had to get on with it so we could do this.
You thought,
It should have everything that's necessary to learn to play the game and to survive, so that's good enough.
looks like a wizard. He should be a leader.
So anyway, now there's a flashing tree there, and that tree is now a pile of wood, and he's going to move on and cut some more. So while he does that...
So, do we need somewhere to put all this stuff then?
Well, the wood will just lay around. It won't magically disappear or anything, so while it
There's
does
no
that-
rot or...
No, there's rot for certain types of food, but they're stored in the wagon currently, they're safe. So anyway, we're going to go back down to the level where we built our workshop, and we're going to D for dig, or for designate, and then D again for dig. And then opposite the carpenter's workshop, we're going to make a mason's workshop. And I'm also going to make a bit more corridor space. In my case, I'm just going to put corridors off of the stairs in each direction, but how exactly you want to do that is entirely up to you. Oh, and should have mentioned this, you can also designate by using your mouse, if you want to. That works for most, if not all, designations. Anything in the designation menu can be designated with the mouse, anyway. So, yeah, we're going to dig out this room for the mason's workshop, another 3x3, and we're also going to dig out some more corridor space. And the miner's going to do that, and meanwhile the woodcutter is still cutting wood. That's what they do, they're woodcutters.
Is there any particular wood that I should make this workshop out of?
No, not a problem at all, just any wood.
So, which is the most populous? No.
It doesn't matter, that's the thing, like, as far as I can think of, the only applicable value would be, like, wood which is heavy would be better for making warhammers, perhaps, but you're not going to be making a wooden warhammer because wood is very light, and it would have to be a training warhammer. And in that case, you don't want it to do more damage because it's for practice. Okay, so my miner is done digging this stuff out, so we're going to press B for building, W for workshop, M for mason. And again, check the darker X's aren't blocking the entrance at all. They're not, it's fine. We'll make it out of, let's say oak, even though it's the furthest away, apart from ash, just to demonstrate that. Now we're going to wait for our mason to go grab that bit of wood and build the workshop. And he's done. That was quick. Now I'm going to do a couple of things at once. We're going to go to the carpenter's workshop, and we're going to ask him to make beds. That's B, but I went down to it because I'm an idiot. A, B, maybe. 5 beds, that's enough. And then we're going to go to the mason's workshop, and we're not going to do anything because we don't have any stone yet. But then, we're going to add another room now. One entrance, going to make it 5 by 5. And this room is going to be the barracks, which is not necessarily military in this case, it's actually a dormitory. I'm lying, I'm thinking of 2 versions ago when it was a barracks. We're going to make a dormitory, so designate a 5 by 5 room, let the miner come get on that. And at the same time, let's make another 5 by 5 room, and that'll be the food storage. I'm designated with the mouse for no particular reason, but you know, you can just do it with enter and enter. Okay, our carpenter has made at least 1 bed. We can press T and then look at the workshop and we can see what's in it. There's the pine log that it's made out of, the bed that's been made, and the pine logs that are being used. That's why it says task there. And then we're going to press B for build and B for bed, and then we're going to put a bed in the 5 by 5 room. We want to choose this pine bed because it's the only one available.
Do we have to assign the room to be something?
We do once the bed has been placed. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay, the guy's running over.
How do you place the bed?
B for building, B for bed. Choose a location, choose a specific bed to use, and then a guy will pick it up from the workshop, take it there and install it. So now it's installed for me. I can press Q and look at it, and I've got the option of make a bedroom. That's R. So we're going to press R. And now we can use plus and minus to choose how big the bedroom is. We're going to make it the size of the entire room. And we're going to make it a dormitory. That's D for dormitory. And then escape, and we're done. Now anyone who needs to sleep can come here and sleep in this dormitory. And as we finish making more beds, which the carpenter has done, we're going to press B and B and place another. And then that one will be part of the dormitory, because, you know, they're all in the same room, you only need to assign one of them.
Where's the dormitory?
In the bed menu.
In the bed menu.
You press Q to get onto the bed, press R to make it a room, and then press D to toggle dormitory to Y instead of N.
So do you queue over the bed then?
Yeah, use Q. Q is always the way to get to options for a building, and beds are technically buildings. So. Okay, and now we're going to make a stock.
I'm unable to move that.
Okay, next we're going to make a stockpile, which is P for pile, and then we're going to make it a food stockpile, so we press F, it's up here. And then we're going to designate it the same way as you designate digging or anything else. Press escape to get out, press Q, because Q is also for looking at the attributes for stockpile. And then let's arbitrarily change something because we can. Let's say we don't want to accept seeds, because we don't really. We're going to put the seeds somewhere else. So you do S for stockpile settings, then you can navigate to food with the up and down arrows this time, then across with a right arrow, down to seeds, and you've got permit and forbid seeds. We're going to press F to forbid all seeds. We don't want any seeds at all in here. And then we're going to press escape, get back out. And now anyone with the hauling labour enabled will automatically start hauling food and drink to the stockpile. We've got our carpenter still making beds, and our woodcutter is still cutting trees, hopefully. Yep, he is. Okay, while they finish that up, we're going to need to look for stone now. So, I'm going to D for designate, J for downward stairway, and at the end of this random corridor I'm going to place a downward stairway, go down a level, and then we're going to use an up-down stairway, which is a stairway that can go up and down. And then just going to keep going down, designating the up-down stairway on each level for 4 or 5 levels. And then we're going to let the miner dig and see what he finds. peat, some kind of clay, and stone. Okay, so now we've got a staircase going down a few levels to stone. Okay, now that we've found stone, we need to actually, dig some stone. So let's go down a few levels, down to where the shale starts. Press D for designate. And then I'm going to not paint this time, because I'm not going to be terrible. I'm just going to designate about 12 by 12 area to be dug out. And, I mean, you can see...
Okay, it started raining, but then the weather cleared.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Okay, designated this area. There's a part flashing because the miner's after it, and here he is, he's digging through. You see here we've got like a couple of stones on the ground. If you press K and look at those, that's just kale. Kale? Shale. That's a boulder, essentially. That can be used to make things, so we're going to make things now. Press Q. Our carpenter's done, so we'll place the rest of the beds in a moment. But first, let's go to the mason's workshop. A to add a new task. And then we're going to do C for a throne, which is a chair. They just call it a throne if it's made of rock. And then we're going to do A again, and T for a table. And then that'll do for the moment. We're going to quickly place the rest of these beds, B, B. These are all still part of the same dormitory, so there's no need to assign them as rooms once they've been placed. And I'm going to dig out a room to be a meeting hall now. It's going to be 5x5 again. And again, I'm designating with my mouse for no particular reason. I'm going to dig another door into the food stockpile that's closer to it as well, because the meeting hall is where people will be eating food, and you want them to be able to get from the food to the meeting hall quickly. And let's go check on the miner again. There he is. He's digging, he's found a few stones. This will take a lot longer. Stone takes longer to dig through than soil. Pretty simple, I guess. And we don't really have anything to do while we wait for them to do that. They've moved all of the food down. The mason's moving stuff up here. Actually, I lied. We do have something to do here. Let's dig out a few more tiles next to the mason, directly connected to the mason. And meanwhile, let's go to the carpenter's workshop, add new task, and let's make a wheelbarrow, which is probably W, but I'm going to check. No, it's not bindable at all. Make wooden wheelbarrow, right down here. Let's make one of those. And then we'll wait for the carpenter to show up and do his job. Here he is. The miner is going to be a while. I forgot that he's got things to do, but... Okay, I'm going to cut the recording for now, and we'll come back when the miner is done with his thing. Okay, our miner is nearly done with his digging thing, but in the meantime, we're going to prepare for some other digging that needs to be done. I'm going to designate a, how big? 5x5 room again. But this time it's going to be different. But you're not really going to find out how until he's done digging downstairs, unfortunately. So in the meantime, we're going to have the mason make a couple of doors. That's A to add new task, and D to construct a door.
Is it possible to have one guy that's like... I mean, is it necessary that we only have one guy that's good at mining?
A lot of people recommend bringing 2 miners, but personally I've never been a fan of that, and
Well, a lot of my guys at the moment are doing absolutely fucking nothing.
that would be less of an issue if I wasn't trying to deal with one thing at a time. That's basically the issue. Like, right now we're digging out quite a lot of rock. Not strictly necessary. We could finish digging out the structure of the soil level first. But, I didn't think this through very well, and that's basically the result that you're looking at, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
But we've got a couple of people who won't really be doing much most of the time. Their job will be just to carry things. I'm going to designate some more trees to be cut down, and I'm also going to create a wood stockpile on the surface but next to the staircase. That'll give them a little bit to do. And I'll keep the people that aren't the miner occupied anyway. Okay, I'm going to cancel some of this designation because, you know, don't need this much stuff this yet. So the miner's nearly done with his newly reduced digging schedule. That wood stockpile is full already because we've done quite a lot of wood. Gonna make another couple of wheelbarrows. And then also another couple of beds. Just to give the carpenter something to do, and also...
Seeing as we have this river pretty close, is it imperative that we mine for fish soon?
Mining for fish is a useful thing to do, but it's probably going to be covered later because the staple of any Dwarf Fortress tends to be farming, and farming is what we're going to get to just as soon as the miner is done. So, hopefully by this point your mason will have made doors, since he's got nothing better to do. You have B for building, D for door. Has to be placed next to a wall, can't be placed out in the open. We're going to put a wall on this, what is this? Dormitory. And then also a door on the food stockpile. Placed exactly the same as a bed.
What do doors do?
Well, I'm going to explain what's there. Right. Once it's there, you can press Q to look at it. You can set it to be keep tightly closed or make pet passable using O. If it's pet passable, pets can walk through it. Simple as that. Whereas if it's tightly closed, then pets can never get through it unless it's forced open by something else. A dwarf walking through it will temporarily open it, I believe. But anyway, then you can also forbid passage or permit passage. That's essentially locking the door. If it's locked, dwarves won't go through it under any circumstances. And I believe that a lot of creatures and invaders will also be stopped by a locked door. Anyway, and the final thing is that you can set it as internal or external. So default is external, but I'm going to show you what happens when you set it to internal. So you press S, it's now an internal door, it says up here internal. Then we're going to go to the dormitory, I'm going to press R to resize it, and then we're going to try to make it bigger. You see how it pours out of the door? Now I'll make it smaller again. Then we're going to go back to the door, set it to an external door, and then we're going to try and resize, and now the door blocks the size of the room. That and containing dangerous things, and dwarves potentially, are the uses of doors. I like to have doors on every room where possible, but sometimes it's not. Okay, and our miner is finally done, and he's here digging out what's about to become a meeting hall. So he's done. B, C to place a chair. Then we're going to press T to place a table. Same way as the door and the bed. Pretty simple. People are now carrying it from the workshop, placing it there. I'm going to make a new room. This time it's going to be a dining hall, or a dining room. So we go to the table with Q, press R, choose how big you want it, same way as any other room. And then we press H to make it a meeting hall. The alternative is to press A and choose who owns it individually. And now anyone who wants to eat can go sit on that chair at that table, and they can eat their food. And also dwarves will be more inclined to hang out there rather than sitting next to the caravan wagon. And now we got this this next room done. Two other rooms actually. First of all, we're going to make a stockpile for stone in this area that's been dug out next to the mason. And it's pretty simple. They'll take stone there, and that's fine. The problem is, carrying stone is quite slow. It's heavy, so they walk slower when they have it. But, as you can see with that guy there, he has a wheelbarrow. Because in a stockpile, you have the option of how many max wheelbarrows you want. In this case, we've got it set to 1, which means that This stockpile takes 1 wheelbarrow and assigns it to itself. We can increase it. We're going to put it up to 2, since we have 2 wheelbarrows right now. And that means that 2 of our wheelbarrows will be assigned to this stone stockpile until either I turn it down to 0 or destroy the stockpile. And they'll be able to use that to carry things back and forth faster. You can use wheelbarrows for any stockpile, but it's mostly only worth it with a stone stockpile since it's so heavy. Okay, we got the other room. B for building, P for plot. And we're gonna place down a farm now. You can adjust the size with UMKH, as it says here. U to make it bigger vertically, M to make it small vertically, and K and H the same. K to make it bigger, H to make it smaller. I'm going to make a 3x3 farm. That'll be enough to support who we have easily. And then we're going to make a food stockpile next to it. But this is going to be a seed stockpile, so we're going to... what are we going to do? We're going to forbid everything that isn't seeds. And now hopefully, yep, everyone's running outside to pick up the seeds and place them in here. Seeds are stored in bags, which are more difficult than barrels to acquire, barrels being what food and drink are stored in. You can see them here. Barrels are made in the carpentry place, but there's a new alternative to barrels. As of a patch or 2 ago, you can make pots in the masonry workshop, and they can be used to store food and drink as well. The benefits are fairly clear. A single tile in a stockpile can only hold 1 item, but it's better for that 1 item to be a barrel containing 20 items than just a single item. As you place more stockpiles, you'll end up with, less barrels proportionately. Ideally, you want the same amount of barrels as you have stockpile spaces, or pots. Pots are much easier to maintain since stone is much more plentiful than wood, generally. Okay, so while I've been stalling, the grower, which is one of the roles we have, has built the farm, but it's currently inactive. So we need to tell them what to do. Currently we're set to do nothing, that's fallow, in spring. So we want to set to do plump helmets in spring. That's up and down on the plus and minus keys to go through these, and then just press enter on the one you want. We're going to be growing plump helmets. We brought some of every type of seed, but plump helmets are the essential crop in every Dwarf Fortress. Then we press B to go to summer, plump helmets again, C to go to autumn, plump helmets again, and D to go to winter, plump helmets again. Then we press escape, and he should start farming soon. Currently he's doing nothing, but that's because he's a cool guy. Okay, so not entirely sure why the grower isn't growing things at this exact second, but we're gonna give him some space, and we're gonna get to the work. The mason's workshop. We're gonna build 3 more tables and 3 more chairs, and then just incidentally, I'm gonna show the repeat function. Just press R, comes up with a little R. And what he'd do here is he'd make the first table, which would get the first order out of the way, then he'd make the second, but instead of getting out of the way, this table order that's on repeat would just go down to the bottom of the list. Then he'd work his way through to it and then do it again. Then it gets sent to the bottom of the list. Then he'd do it again. Repeat. Pretty simple. We're not going to use it right now. We don't need it. So 3 more chairs, 3 more tables. Because in a dining hall, you do actually have to have chairs and tables 1-to-1. You can't have a table with 4 chairs surrounding it. It has to be 1 chair for every table. Anyway, he's doing that. Hopefully the grower is going to grow things. Sudden awareness of why he might not be. I'm going to press K to have a look here, make sure we actually have the seeds that I think we have. Okay, it appears that the farmer is now actually farming, so that's promising. I'm going to let him continue. He goes to the seed stockpile, grabs a seed, goes to the farm, he's planting. He's still planting, just waiting for him to be done planting. Okay. This tile is now planted. Plump Plump helmets take about a month to grow. So, you know, this is going to be a kind of slow thing. We're just watching him plant a little for now. And yeah, he's going to go on with that until it's all there. And then, you know, if he ran out of seeds before the farm was filled, he would just plant until he ran out. Then he'd go do other things until we have more seeds. Pretty much it. For now, he's just stopping because he feels like it, I guess. He's kind of a slacker. We do definitely still have more seeds. But he'll get back to it soon, whatever. In the meantime, another thing that we should be doing, we need to assign a couple of zones now. First, I for zones, similar to a stockpile designation here. I'm just gonna put this here. And now we choose what the zone does. It says here water source 0, that's because there's no water, so you know, it wouldn't make a good water source. There are 80 tiles if you wanted it to be a garbage dump though, or 80 if you wanted it to be a pen or a pasture. We want it to be a pen or a pasture because we don't want our chickens to starve to death from living underground. So we press N, then uppercase N, and we get a list of animals. It's plus and minus on this screen. Just press enter on each one to have them moved outside, and this is where they'll live. Not a particularly good place, but we're not too worried about that right now. And also... No, it's fine. I was concerned about something, but it was just me being paranoid. Once we're off, it's gone. This is fine. It's just an imaginary area. If you put a stockpile over a staircase, it seems to stop the staircase from working. Odd, but it does. So anyway, now if we unpause, they should grab the animals and take them outside. Yep, that's what they're doing. Although there are more animals than people available to take them outside, so that's taking a while. Now they should be happy to just live out here. The pen's kind of small, they might kick each other. They'll be fine. Our mason is done building chairs and tables, so we're gonna put these down. As always, everyone will run to the workshop to grab them. Grower is still being a terrible slacker. Oh, and
Is that a thing? Sometimes they just don't do what you tell them.
I think it may be. It's related to personalities, that they're just... I'm not entirely sure. I would have expected it to make them take more breaks. I'm guessing it's just something odd is happening, like maybe we're too close to the end of the season, but no, I don't know. I haven't a clue what he's doing, but he'll probably figure it out. If he doesn't, then I'll have 5 hours of fun trying to figure out what's wrong. That's Dwarf Fortress, basically. Alright, next up, we need to actually, enable the dwarves to survive for extended periods of time. So we're going to make... What are we going to make? We're going to make room for 2 more workshops directly connected to the food stockpile. And then we're going to wait for the miner to come dig them out quickly. We're going to wait for the miner to wake up, and then he'll come dig them out. Oh, and our grower is getting back to growing. Again, just they do what they feel like. But I guess this is a good opportunity to mention the orders menu. It's up here, set orders, O. And you can change it so certain things change, like do all dwarves gather up animals and take them back to their pens, or do they just ignore them? Do they gather food, or ignore it? I don't really know what it means by that, actually. But the important thing here is dwarves all harvest. We're going to have only farmers harvesting, because we want only farmers to harvest. Harvesting will affect the quality of food, and we don't want, or the quantity of food, sorry. And we don't want every random dwarf who knows nothing about farming to ruin the food.
That's a thing?
Yeah, I'm honestly only about 50% sure. But I'd rather not take the risk. Maybe I'll put it in the description if it turns out I'm wrong. Anyway, we're going to build a workshop. This one is the still, that's L on the workshop menu. build it out of wood, why not? And then a kitchen, which is Z on the menu. I'm going to put that there. You'll notice there was, or you may have noticed anyway, that there was an impassable tile right here, and that's over the door. It's not a problem because they can go diagonally, so they'll be fine. It won't block the entrance. Now we've got a brewer somewhere who should come do that. Oh yeah, it's the carpenter. He's asleep, but he should do that. But we don't have a cook currently, so we're going to make a new cook. We're going to take this guy. He's the doctor. He knows nothing about cooking. I'm going to press P for preferences, L for labours. Then we're going to go down to farming/related, and we're going to go down to cooking. Press enter. He's now a cook. When he wakes up, he'll go build the kitchen, because that's how cooking works, I guess. Okay, here he is, he's awake. They both ran off to get wood, because that's what they're building out of. Okay, we now have a kitchen. You can prepare meals. Basically, the meals are different amounts of ingredients. So if you make a lavish meal, they'll take 4 different ingredients, they'll combine them, and then they'll make an amount of meals equal to the sum of all of the ingredients. So, you know, if they use 10 of 4 different ingredients, you get 40. But more importantly, it gives them the opportunity to apply their cooking skill as a quality modifier, which it makes people happier, but I'll explain happiness and the relevance of that later. For now, let's just make lavish meals, and we'll put it on repeat, but we don't want to waste everything, so we press Z to go to this screen, which is stocks or something, status maybe. And then we're going to go to kitchen, and here's all of our food and drink. We don't get exact numbers because we haven't kept track of exact numbers, but we don't want to cook any of the alcohol because we need that, so we press C along those to not cook them. And then we're okay with cooking all of these. These things won't lose anything as a result of being cooked, whereas obviously if we cook alcohol, it's no longer a drink, we might die of dehydration. All dwarves need alcohol.
Need?
They can technically drink water, but it makes them very unhappy. So, yeah, we're going to be making lavish meals on repeat, not using our essential ingredients, which are food, I mean booze. And then we've also got still for brewing drinks, but we don't have any drinks to brew right now because we don't have any brewable plants. So for now, let's just watch the doctor as he grabs some stuff from the stockpile, takes it into the cooking place, by which I mean kitchen, and then cooks. You can use the T option to have a look at what's in it. He got 3 stacks of lobsters and a stack of dingo hearts. And we'll see the outcome in a moment, when he's done cooking, which is what we're waiting for. Okay. Prepared dingo heart roast, 19. They seem to be default quality, but that's because he's not a good chef. It's still better than eating them separately, I believe. And somebody will move those into the stockpile. Immediate warning comes to mind. Prepared meals will rot if they're not stored in a stockpile. So, you know, prioritize that. Go into a stockpile, press S to change settings, go to food, and you can see here, U is whether they accept prepared food or not. Don't do. Simple. Okay, we don't have any brewable plants, but let's quickly cover brewing. Similar to making food in the kitchen, except you need something which can be brewed, like plump helmets. We'll have some of those later when our grower is done growing. And noticed something, but I'll look at that in a moment. Anyway, to brew, you need to have the brewing labour, which we have somebody in that position, and you need to have the plants that are to be brewed, and you need to have barrels or pots. If there are no barrels, they can't brew it. They can't just hold it in their hands or whatever. So, just for when we do eventually do that, we'll make some barrels over here. It's not B, that's bed. It's V for barrel. And have our carpenter go make some barrels. Now the thing I noticed that I'm very confused about is that all of our seeds have disappeared from the seed stockpile. Really not sure what's going on there. I'm attempting to investigate, but I don't see any answer. Seems they just stole them. But whatever. Not important, I guess. Okay, next we're going to make individual bedrooms for our dwarves. And it's pretty simple. We need to designate an area for them to be in, obviously. I'm just going to make these 2x1 rooms for now. They don't mind. They can deal with it. And meanwhile, we're going to need to make some beds, obviously. And while we're doing that, I can also use P to promote these beds above the barrels, so that they'll prioritize them. Okay, he's finished with one bed already, so, well, two even. So let's start placing these. Okay, good news. The carpenter is just about done building beds, and I've discovered the location of our missing seeds. All of the seed bags have been moved into a single seed barrel, which is in the seed stockpile. So just to take a look at this, we can press K. See, we've got a seed barrel up there. We're not on it, so we'll use plus to go down to it. Enter to view it, and then plus and minus again to go down. We've got seed bags. They're just all inside one barrel, which is very convenient, I guess. And we're placing the last of these beds. Okay, now exactly the same as the dormitory, by which I mean not exactly the same at all. Just choose the size you want, which is this, press enter. Then instead of pressing D to make it a dormitory, we're just going to assign it to the leader. And then for the rest, let's make them all into bedrooms of this same size. Now the rest, they can assign for themselves. Next time somebody wants to sleep, they'll just pick a bed and they'll say this is mine now, and then that room will assign itself to them. And then they'll be fine.
So what, they get mad if they don't have their own room?
They get happy as a result of having their own room. And the higher quality the room, the happier they are.
But all it has in is a bed.
At the moment it's just a bed, but they'll still be happier sleeping in their own room than they will in a dormitory. Unless it's a very, very nice dormitory. Okay, the next thing, which ties very closely, rather, to the whole bedroom issue, is nobles. Nobles are any kind of leader position in your fortress. Got nobles and administrators down here. Press N. And here we can see the only one we've currently got is this leader, who is the expedition leader. But we want to have a broker, which is a trader. We'll make it the same guy, because he's an appraiser and a judge of intent, which are both good for trading. We'll make the doctor into the chief medical dwarf, and we'll also make the leader into the manager, because why not? And then for the sake of branching out a bit, we'll make the sheriff the soldier, and the bookkeeper can be The doctor, why not? Right. This require, which is in red, this is their way of telling us that they want stuff because they have a job now, they've earned it. Now, specifically, the sheriff wants an office, at least modest, some quarters, some dining room, or a dining room, sorry, and he wants these 4 objects: a chest, a cabinet, a weapon rack, and an armor stand. So let's dig out some rooms for him. First of all, I'm going to give him a bedroom. That can be here. We're going to give him... let's give him a mixed office and dining room. He doesn't need to have 2, necessarily. And meanwhile, we're going to need to have the mason prepare the stuff to actually go in it. We need a chair, a table for his office and his dining room, and then he also wants an armor stand, and he wants a weapon rack. And we also know he wants a bed, so let's just deconstruct a bed that already exists. Q, go onto it, press X, and it's slated for removal. Some guy who is allowed to haul furniture will come dismantle it. There we go.
Is a combat skill separate from a normal set of skills? Like, will everyone have another category of combat skills, or is it just, within the standard scope?
Combat skills are pretty much exactly the same as regular skills. Yeah, they don't have a separate section for them. They just what do they have? They have attributes which will affect combat and which will, well, different attributes affect different things. Some will be combat, some will be non-combat, some will be mixed. It's all different. Like awareness, I believe, is beneficial for combat, but not for non-combat.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to create a dining room. We've done it before, we're just not going to make it a meeting hall this time. We're just going to assign it to our soldier, who is also the other guy. We're going to make a throne room or study exactly the same way, and we're going to assign it to our soldier, who is also the sheriff. Now if we go on to N, he's not done complaining yet, but he has 3 of his requirements. Oh, I forgot, he needs a chest, which is a coffer, if you make it out of stone, and a cabinet, which is just a cabinet. So let's get those made. And meanwhile, we'll have the mayor's bedroom and office dug out. Again, we'll just dismantle an existing bed, his one specifically. And then we'll build a chair and a table. Now, higher rank nobles will ask for specific things like better bedrooms and better offices, but there are a couple of different ways to improve value, which, I'll talk about later. For now, let's just give him a bedroom, and I think some stuff for the sheriff should be done. Yes, it is. Okay, B, and then we're looking for a container, which is H, and that'll be his shale coffer, and a cabinet, which is F. That'll be his shale cabinet. Oh, and he wants his armor stand and his weapon rack, doesn't he? Sheriffs are very demanding by comparison. Weapon rack, there it is. R for rack. He's nearly done complaining. Let's make this into a bedroom, assign it to our leader, and then let's make him his office too. An office is based off of a chair, not a table, but I put a table either out of habit or necessity. I honestly don't remember which. Awkwardly shaped rooms. We could define them using doors, but I'm not going to at this exact moment. Let's check though. Does the manager demand a table? No, apparently not. Oh, there is a problem here. I just noticed. The sheriff wants a modest office, but we've only offered him a meagre office, which means he's slightly unhappy over it. But, he can deal with it. He won't mind. I'll talk about increasing the value in a little while. First of all, let's set up our bookkeeper slash chief medical dwarf. He only wants an office, so I'm going to be lazy and only give him an office. It's very important to bear in mind that my terrible fortress design is not something you need to be following to the letter at all. It's just, you know, the way I'm rushing through it without thinking. Once again, need a chair and a table. These rooms probably don't reach their value specifically because they're overlapping, and any room that overlaps with another is reduced in value up to a cap of 75%, I believe. 75% reduction, that is.
Does that count if you, like, I have a lot of my rooms stray a little bit into the corridors, is that a problem?
As long as the rooms don't, like, overlap in the corridor, it wouldn't be a problem. But I'm not certain, but I think it may be a problem if rooms overlap through a wall. Like, you know, if they share a wall, I think that might reduce the value, but I'm not certain. It's kind of difficult to confirm. But, okay, the sheriff is reasonably happy, the mayor is happy. Bookkeeper is about to be happy, hopefully. Then we'll talk about what exactly these people do. Okay, the medical dwarf going to be covered in a later video, the same for the sheriff and the hammerer and the militia commander. But the manager, the bookkeeper, those I can cover now. Right. The bookkeeper, you can go to the stock screen and it'll tell you how much stuff you've got, but you'll notice the higher numbers will be estimated. Like we have around 50 seeds, we have around 30 pieces of handwear. Odd choice for an example, but that's what we have. We only have around 200 food, doesn't specify. Now, to get more specific, we have the bookkeeper find out for us. So you go to the bookkeeping, press S for settings. Currently it's on lowest precision. That means that it starts rounding up very early. But we can set that higher. Generally you want to go highest precision, but that's unnecessary. Realistically, medium precision is good enough for the short term. But we're going to let him do full. And what that means is that whenever he's not doing something else, he'll go to his office and he'll work on improving the stocks. Although right now he's going to spend 1 second working on that and then go eat. Now the manager, slightly more complicated. We've unlocked a new screen now. We can go to the job screen, that's always been there, shows you what people are doing. It'd also show jobs that need to be done that nobody is doing. But then we can press M to go to the manager. And here's where we can set up work orders. Like rather than going to the mason's workshop and saying, make me a chair, I can come here and I can say, rock throne. And I can say that I want you to make me 10 chairs. Then I can say, also make me let's make some wooden barrels. 10 of those. And then tables. Let's make 5 tables. And then we can mess around with the priority. Press T for max priority, P just to promote. And what will happen is the manager will go to his office, he'll work for a couple of moments, and then these will be signed, and they'll automatically be put into workshops that are appropriate, and they'll get the job done for you. Now in this case I don't actually want these things, so I'm not really going to demonstrate, but it's simple enough. You should be able to, test it once and understand it. The manager is very much a part-time job. He can do plenty of other things at the same time, but we're going to move on because the grower has finished growing. Well, he's now harvesting because these plants have started being finished. So now we've got some plump helmets, and we can demonstrate brewing. Just add a new task, brew a drink. Let's put it on repeat. He grabs a plump helmet, he grabs a barrel from the carpenter's workshop, and then he does work. And then he continues. I forgot how long it took. Now we have a barrel of dwarven wine. And also seeds. To get the seeds back from a plant, it either has to be eaten raw or brewed. If you cook a plant, it's gone. You lose the seeds. Which is why we're going to go to Z, then kitchen again. And we're going to say, don't cook plump helmets, because we don't want to lose the seeds. But we're going to keep that brewing on repeat. He's going to brew as much as he can until he either runs out of barrels or runs out of plump helmets. And that's it for nobles for the moment. Okay, so the final thing in just this getting started section of the tutorial is why you've been doing most of the things we've been doing. Basically, dwarves' mental state is based on happiness. We're going to press V, go to them, press Z to get to this screen. Then enter shows their thoughts and preferences. And now this eye-melting screen tells us how dwarves are feeling. This guy's been quite content lately. Now the reason he's quite content is that he was in the rain and that was kind of bad. But also he saw a table and he liked the table. And he ate food in a pretty good dining room. But on the other hand, he slept without a real room. He slept in a dormitory, and that's bad. Nobody likes sleeping in a dormitory. And this is how dwarves' happiness works. Every time something good or bad happens, they get a thought. And a thought lasts 6 months and has a good or a bad value. So being caught in the rain might be -10, while killing one of your enemies might be +50. But your spouse dying, -50. That sort of thing. They last for 6 months, and as you get new ones and old ones fade, they can become happier or less happy depending on recent events. But a good way to keep them happy over time is to provide good food, which you do by having a good chef cook good ingredients into high quality meals, which they'll then eat in a dining room, preferably a good dining room. And then after that they can go sleep in their nice bed, in their nice bedroom, and on the way maybe they'll see a nice statue. And pretty much everything we've covered so far is about keeping dwarves alive, and getting them at least small happy thoughts in these forms. That's why we gave them their own bedrooms. That's why we gave the sheriff his stuff, because if we didn't, he'd be saying, I'm the sheriff, why am I sleeping in a dormitory? I'm supposed to have an office, and I want a weapon rack. And, well, that's it, really, for happiness. That's how it works. Now, we can get more happiness from the same things, like this dining room. We can make this more valuable. And the way to do that would be to use higher quality chairs and higher quality tables, maybe high quality statues, or statues made of high quality materials, like you could make a platinum statue if you had some platinum, which would be worth a huge amount, and any dwarf that sees it would be like, that's a cool statue. And anyone that eats in the dining room would be like, this is a cool dining room. And, you know, aside from the material side, the way to do that is to get higher skills. Our mason is talented currently. As he does more things in the workshop, makes more chairs, makes more tables, he'll become a better mason. And the higher quality a mason he is, the higher quality stuff he's going to make. Like, let's have a look. This table here has a plus on each side. It's worth 30. That's, what is it? It's a finely crafted shale table. But if he was better, he might make a masterwork shale table, which means the room is worth more, which means dwarves are happier. The same happens for pretty much everything. The carpenter will make higher quality beds, the cook will make higher quality food, and that's what keeping dwarves happy is all about. There are other ways to increase value, specifically engraving, which I think I should probably demonstrate now. So let's take the miner, let's give him a new labour, which is going to be stoneworking. Give him stone detailing. Now this can't be done on this level because it's made of clay, but this is the benefit of living in stone, which is why normally you wouldn't live on the surface in stone, you dig deeper and live on the surface in clay. We're going to go D, designate, then smooth down this wall. Then we're going to wait for the miner to come down here and get it done. He'll be quite slow, so I'm going to cut the recording until he's done. Okay, he's smoothed out this wall. We can use K and we can see this wall is rough hewn, but this is a smooth shale wall. And now D for designate, E for engrave, and tell him to engrave this entire wall. And again, I'm gonna just stop the recording until he's done. Okay, now we have a detailed shale walls. And if we use K to look at these, press enter, we can see what's engraved on them. Specifically, in this one, it's engraved by Erdim Koltenegg, and it's a rendition of an image of oval cabochons. I don't know what those are, but it's the symbol of the tongues of intensity, which is the dwarven civilization that we're from. What's on it isn't too important, although it can be interesting. The important thing is that that wall has now increased in value. That might be worth, like, I don't know, I think in this case it's probably only worth 20 or 30. But if we had a guy living down here, his bedroom, office, whatever, would be increased in value by the presence of this engraved wall, which is going to lead to better thoughts, more happiness. So, in general, you want to live in a stone layer, engrave everything you can, and people will be happy. Now, that's it for now. There are going to be more videos which will cover essential but not quite so urgent topics. Definitely worth watching if you don't know anything about the game. But for now we're done.